welcome everyone to another episode of the Policy Pulse podcast. I'm your host today, Zoha Najib. I'm the current president of the Economic Society here at LUMS. And today we're delving into a topic that's not only critical, but increasingly important, the role of women in Pakistan's labor market. And to guide us through this complex and fascinating topic, we're honored to have Dr. Hadia Majid today. To sum up your accomplishments in a few lines, Dr. Majid is a professor at LUMS, and her research focuses on labor economics, gender disparities, and economic development, especially as it pertains to Pakistan. Her work has been pivotal in highlighting the challenges that women face in the labor market, and she's played a major role in policy discussions that push for gender equality and economic empowerment. Dr. Majid, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Soha. It's a pleasure to be here.
Just to get into it, Dr. Majid, your research has really shaped the way we understand gender dynamics in Pakistan's labor market. Could you give us an overview of how your work has evolved over the years?
Sure. So actually, I'll start off with how I got into this. And I really started working on women's labor market when I myself became a mother. So जैसे जैसे मेरा वर्क का बर्डन चेंज हुआ एंड उसमें मेरा रिप्रोडक्टिव बर्डन ऐड हुआ, आई स्टार्टेड डेल्विंग मोर इनटू द बैरियर्स टू वुमेन्स लेबर मार्केट पार्टिसिपेशन. What are the structural challenges, but also what are the individual challenges? What happens within the household? What are the institutional frameworks which help and deter women from entering the labor market? What is the nature of work that they do? What is the type of work that they do? So, मेरा जो काम है, a lot of it is using secondary data. जो हमारा existing data sets हैं पाकिस्तान में, we have very extensive data sets. So, उसको लेके just understanding कि आपके जो service में what kind of insights can they give us. And then as I delved more into the secondary data, जैसे labor force survey हो गया या Pakistan Standard of Living Measurement survey हो गया, I realized that there's a lot of stuff that is getting left out. Because the nature of the market is such in Pakistan that some of the major constraints that women face, you really don't see it come up in your quantitative surveys. Especially just my work has evolved in the last 3-4 years, I've started working more on technology and how that is affecting women's labor force participation and how women are leveraging technology for their social and economic empowerment. उसके लिए quantitative surveys become even more difficult. So उसमें फिर मैं qualitative survey work कर रही हूँ. This is in conjunction with faculty at a computer science school. And it's become, over time, it's become from a pure quantitative survey-based analysis, it's becoming more towards mixed methods research, qualitative काम करना, in-depth interviews करना. So that's been the trajectory, and let's see where it goes next.
That sounds good. So speaking of cultural norms that you've mentioned, there is clearly a role of women in our culture and in Pakistan's labor market, and it has been there for decades. So how do you think these norms impact women's career trajectories and access to opportunities in particular?
So Pakistan has a fairly well-defined and in some ways rigid gender order, and by that I mean कि पाकिस्तान में मर्दों को क्या काम करना चाहिए, उनका फैमिली में क्या रोल होना चाहिए, उनका लेबर मार्केट में क्या रोल होना चाहिए, वो काफ़ी प्रीडिफाइंड है. एंड सिमिलरली फॉर वुमेन, अगर आप हमारे जेंडर ऑर्डर को देखें, सो द प्रोडक्टिव बर्डन फॉल्स अंडर द मेल परव्यू एंड देन द रिप्रोडक्टिव बर्डन फॉल्स अंडर द फीमेल परव्यू. And the thing is, that's how it is in most countries in the world. When I say that it's rigid, is that you don't see that cross-pollination, so to speak. अगर औरतें जो हैं वो लेबर मार्केट में जा रही हैं तो फिर उनका क्या reproductive burden थोड़ा सा कम हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है. I'll give you an example here. जो पाकिस्तान टाइम यूज सर्वे है, unfortunately we just have one round of it. 2007 में हुआ था ये. And अगर आप उसमें डेटा देखें, so per that, if women are doing 5 hours of reproductive work per day, which includes caregiving, household chores, then men are doing just half an hour of reproductive work. And अगर ये औरत जो है वो काम भी कर रही है, लेबर मार्केट में भी जा रही है, तो she gains about 37 minutes in the sense that उसका फिर जो 5 घंटा है वो 37 minutes से कम हो जाएगा. So this is what we call the double burden, that she has to go and be engaged in the labor market, and then when she comes home, she has to be engaged with the reproductive tasks and the household care duties as well. This is reflected in the type of work that women do as well. So there's certain careers or occupations that are that the community is more forgiving of, or the community expects women to go into more, in the sense that teaching or nursing are extensions of women caregiving roles. So there's more acceptance अगर औरतें जो हैं इस किस्म के काम में करें. और जिस तरह से acceptance है औरतों के लिए कि वो इन professions में आए, उतनी ही कम acceptance है या expectation है कि मर्द इन किस्म के occupations में जाएंगे. So you have rigidity at both ends. And Pakistan is not unique in this. This is, you see this in other countries too. But what is perhaps more prevalent, or what is perhaps a little bit more, or rather I should say, what is perhaps less forgiving in the Pakistani case is that if anyone wants to cross those barriers, or if women are expecting that men are going to step up and participate in the reproductive roles a little bit more and ease the burden on them, we're not seeing that. And in fact, we're seeing a situation where if women want to reduce the reproductive role and reduce caregiving, it's accompanied with a lot of guilt, it's accompanied with shame, it's accompanied with a loss of identity and a reduction in the overall satisfaction levels. And of course, then that has long-term impacts on the type of work that women are going to do, or the type of engagement that women will have with the labor market. Okay, they'll be hesitant to have long-term careers in the labor market because, I mean, frankly, it reduces their satisfaction in life कि अच्छा वो बस हर वक्त काम जग पे जा रही हैं, उनके बच्चों को जो है कोई और उनकी देखभाल कर रहा है. So they exit and enter the labor market a lot more than you see in other contexts.
And on that note, adding to your own example of rigid roles, if I give you an example of my own mother was a teacher. She was in HSN College, and I am currently a senior at LUMS, and I still haven't entered the labor market myself, but I have been an intern at several MNCs. So there's a shift in opportunities and also an acceptance of society in general to these new roles. So do you think that the opportunities women have today are driven by the changes in cultural roles or the availability of more opportunities?
So it's a combination. I mean, true to what you'll see any economist say, we don't take a hard line कि अच्छा यही answer है या वही answer है. हम usually कहते हैं कि it's a combination of a lot of factors. And I think if you look at, and here I'm going to now refer to some quantitative surveys. There's a World Values Survey which is done fairly regularly, and Pakistan is one of the countries जहाँ पे ये World Values Survey has been conducted. And analysis of the World Values Survey has shown that Pakistan में there has been a cultural shift. And I think that cultural shift, it's उसका feedback loop है with the labor market. So जैसे जैसे औरतों का labor market participation बढ़ा है, and in a lot of cases that's increased because कोई crisis आ गया. जैसे आजकल हमारे मुल्क में inflation का crisis चल रहा है. People are in hard times. You need to supplement your income. We've generally seen कि जैसे ही कोई bust आता है in terms of economic conditions, women do enter the labor market. When they do enter the labor market, those expectations, those restrictions do shift. And we're seeing this very clearly in the World Values Survey. कि आपका shift आया, women enter the labor market, उसकी वजह से आपकी norms around what type of work men should do and what type of work women should do, उसमें change आया. अब उसमें जब change आया, so that's going to feed back into कि अच्छा औरतों को किस किस्म का labor market, किस किस्म के लेबर मार्केट में जाना चाहिए, क्या एक्सेप्टेबल है, क्या एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है. And I think that's what we're seeing happening at a much larger scale in your example, right? कि opportunities available to the women in our society are evolving, they're changing. The acceptance of women going into work is changing. So एक तो मैंने आपको macro economy में क्या हो रहा है वो example दिया है. Another thing that is happening at the macro level is urbanization. Pakistan is just more urban. And as Pakistan becomes more urban, mobility changes. And usme the labor market, the demand for women changes. As Pakistan has become richer in the sense that average income has increased, the investment in women's education changes. And जब औरतों की education की investment change होगी, the cost of them sitting at home is now much higher. So again, there's going to be that push to enter the labor market. My concern as somebody who studies labor market is not just कि औरतें जो है वो labor market में आ रही हैं कि नहीं आ रही हैं, किस किस्म की jobs में आ रही हैं. You are seeing women in many different types of fields. But one of my concerns is also कितना अरसा ठहर रही हैं. Are they staying in the labor market in the long run, or are they just exiting and entering based on शौक आया तो हम एंटर कर गई, जैसे ही फैमिली का हाल थोड़ा सा बेहतर हुआ तो हम एग्जिट कर गई. बिकॉज इसका मतलब है कि आपकी करियर ट्रेजेक्ट्री वो नहीं बन रही है और आप जो हैं your labor is responding to shocks rather than labor becoming this your entrance into the labor market becoming this norm that everyone follows कि हाँ औरतें काम करेंगी.
That, of course, is very important. But despite this progress, do you think that the double burden that you've already mentioned, women having to balance work and household responsibilities, that it still holds them back?
Yes, I think so. अब इसमें unfortunately we don't have the type of time use survey that we would like to analyze to really understand what's happening at the national level, क्योंकि जैसे मैंने पहले कहा उसका बस सिर्फ एक ही राउंड अवेलेबल है. लेकिन अगर आप क्वालिटेटिवली जाके बात करें औरतों से तो एनेक्डोटल एविडेंस तो यही है कि आपके ऊपर बहुत बर्डन है टू टेक केयर ऑफ द फैमिली, एंड द बर्डन इज इंक्रीजिंग एज द nature or the structure of the family changes. Pakistan mein, the incidence of nuclear family is now higher. Part of it is driven by migration patterns. Part of it is driven by, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा था, cultural values आपकी shift कर रही हैं. Even as the economy, I mean, अगर आप 1970 से लेखें अब तक, हमारी average income has changed. So, जैसे जैसे आपका average income change होगा, आपका preference structure change होगा. So, उसकी, because of all of these various factors, you're seeing that how people approach their family, how people approach their household has shifted. अब extended family नहीं है तो there's, or you are living away from your extended family, तो एक तो ये है कि दादी दादा नानी नाना घर के करीब नहीं है, फिर मामू मामी खाला वो भी नहीं है क्योंकि migration patterns have now changed in such a drastic way. You don't have that support. तो फिर जब बच्चा घर आएगा, who's going to be at home? अब इसमें the gender wage gap also plays a role. Either the mother could be at home or the father could be at home, but it's the gender wage gap remains, women still earn only about 80% of what men earn. Actually, they earn only about 70% of what men earn. So it makes sense for actually the man to be in the labor market, even if the woman is highly educated. So one, नॉर्म्स इतनी शिफ्ट नहीं हुई हैं कि औरतों के ऊपर से वो केयर बर्डन आपका रिड्यूस हो गया है या कम्प्लीटली वैनिश हो गया है. शिफ्ट्स आई हैं, men are getting more involved, लेकिन अभी भी majority of the care burden lies with women. Then आपका वो extended family support भी नहीं है. फिर तीसरा, gender wage gap still exists, so ऐसा नहीं है कि they have equal opportunity. Men and women have equal opportunity. It makes sense for the household, for the father to go out and work. So combined जब आप ये सारा करेंगे तो it's not that women are in a position to give up reproductive work and go into the labor market full time. They're going to have to manage both. And in a lot of cases, women, where they can afford to, are going to opt out of the labor market altogether and just shift their entire time burden towards reproductive work. And isme, I don't think we can deny the role that our very hostile public space plays. We know there is harassment en route and at work. And because of that harassment, if I can afford to stay at home and not go out and face that harassment, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Of course, it's a very frustrating situation to face. So, what cultural barriers do you think that need to be addressed the most?
इतनी लंबी लिस्ट है मेरे पास. Where do I start from? Reproductive work ka burden needs to shift. We need to make it acceptable for men to be taking care of their families. Isme, I think media has such a big role to play because it's much easier to make that claim that अच्छा मर्दों को घर पे अपने बच्चों के साथ खेलना चाहिए, उनकी देखभाल करनी चाहिए. When you see those role models on TV or otherwise in the newspaper, on the radio, on social media. What's been great and abhi aaj hi I was noticing this, and we were talking about this on the way back home from our school run, was women on motorbikes, women on scooters. You're seeing so many more women on scooters. You've seen a shift in women's mobility. So that cultural barrier कि आपने किसी मर्द के साथ ही बाहर निकलना है, अगर आप प्राइवेट ट्रांसपोर्ट पे जाएंगी तो वो गाड़ी होगी, एंड विच ऑफ कोर्स इज अ कॉस्टली इंडेवर फॉर लॉट ऑफ फैमिलीज. अब वो शिफ्ट आ गया है कि औरतें मोटरसाइकिल पे भी बैठ रही हैं. इट्स गोइंग टू मेक इट अ लॉट ईजियर फॉर वुमेन टू गेट आउट, go to work, pick up their children. They're not that dependent on male kin. So एक तो ये, and then I think जैसे जैसे औरतों की cultural shift औरतों के लिए आनी चाहिए, मर्दों के लिए भी आनी चाहिए. Professions or occupations where we think अच्छा नहीं, ये तो औरतों का ही forte है, वहाँ पे मर्द enter करें. I think you can't deny the pressure that men are under to be the sole provider of families. That needs to shift. अगर वही shift होगा तो men will have the leeway to come and help out more with the reproductive burden.
Now that we're talking towards solutions, are there any specific successful policies from other countries you would like to see in Pakistan?
I mean, for me, given what I'm seeing in terms of motorbikes, that's fantastic. Then I'll give you another example. And here I'd like to connect what's happening in society to economic factors. We went to Nepal a few years back. I had to attend a conference there. And while I was driving from the airport to my hotel, I could tell something's odd, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I realized that what was odd was that it was women in all of the stores. सारे जो stores on the way मुझे नज़र आए थे, उन सब में ख़वातीन बैठी हुई थी. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे यहाँ ख़वातीन नहीं होती हैं, लेकिन उस स्केल पे नहीं होती हैं. And उसमें जो था, what was different was, and then I realized this later on when I thought about it a bit more, नेपाल में migration rates are really high. So जैसे जैसे मर्द निकले हैं, औरतों ने उनकी जगह ले ली है. So it's a combination of, I mean, Nepalese society is just more open to women taking on these male roles. With, if you compare it, when you combine it with migration जो हुई है, migratory patterns जो हैं, so you had to be accepting of women in the storefront or women taking on men's roles. So I don't, as an economist, I mean, I see everything from that lens. I think we have to combine acceptance of certain roles with other factors which are taking place in the economy overall, and then see what path the economy takes. Sometimes you can make the economy shift those paths. I mean, the Grameen Bank is a great example, and I think a lot of us have tried to replicate that. Okay, if you provide loans and you provide a structure that allows women to invest in their businesses, then they will flourish and they will be able to get that social economic space to take their own decisions. So, and I think in that Pakistan has done not so badly. Yeah.
Well, here's hoping there's obviously room for more. And so how about a collaboration between the public and private sector? Do you think that will lead to a better workplace for them?
So yes, I think public-private ventures in education हो रहे हैं, in health हो रहे हैं, public-private ventures in vocational training हो रहे हैं. I have some pet peeves over there. When we think about public-private ventures, I think we have to be careful that we're not absolving the public sector from stepping up and doing their job, because I mean, as a student of economics, you know about public goods failure. जहाँ पे अगर डिमांड नहीं है, जैसे एजुकेशन की, स्कूल्स की, किसी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में या किसी एरिया में डिमांड नहीं है, वहाँ पे प्राइवेट सेक्टर तो नहीं जाएगा, लेकिन इट इज़ इनकम्बेंट ऑन द गवर्नमेंट टू गो इनटू दैट सेक्टर. अगेन प्राइवेट अगर कहीं पे हेल्थ की वैक्सीनेशन की डिमांड नहीं है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर वहाँ पे नहीं जाएगा. इट विल बी इनकम्बेंट ऑन द गवर्नमेंट टू एक्चुअली गो इन देयर एंड वैक्सीनेट फोक्स. सो ठीक है, the public sector can definitely learn from the private sector in terms of profit maximization, in terms of cost cutting, in terms of efficiency. But there's certain goods and services where the government has to lead the way, because the private sector is inevitably going to fail. My pet peeve comes to vocational training programs. And I know you're going to talk to me about technology. So tech maybe I'm starting to see, I feel same sort of issues are going to crop up. हमारी इतने अरसे से ट्रेनिंग्स चल रही हैं, वो सारी जो ट्रेनिंग्स हैं वो उन्हीं ट्रेडिशनल रोल्स के ऊपर हैं कि अच्छा वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग दे दो औरतों को इन ताकि वो सोइंग कर लें या किसी सोइंग सेंटर में जाके काम कर लें. But this is really low value added work where you want women to come are where gender roles are being challenged. I understand that it's harder for communities to accept this, but this is where you need to do the work. Okay, they become more accepting of these different sort of roles. जो हाई वैल्यू एडेड सेक्टर्स हैं वहीं पे जब औरतें एंटर होंगी तो उनको वो उतना इनकम मिलेगा विच विल हैव दैट एम्पावरिंग इफेक्ट दैट वी वांट टू सी. But it's not enough to just train the women. You have to understand the entirety of their constraint. You have to understand that they don't have that network, they don't have that social access, they don't have that diversity, they're not connected to suppliers, they're not even connected to the demand side. So आपको उनके पूरे इकोसिस्टम को देखना है. It's not just enough कि आपने उनको सिखा दिया है कि ये एक डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म है, आप इस पे जाके जो है अपने गुड्स को बेच सकती हैं. There's so many other barriers that these women face that अगर जब आप पूरे इकोसिस्टम को समझेंगे तभी जो है आप उसको सबका sustained change लेके आएंगे जो कि all of your questions are alluding to.
There is, of course, a whole different story for educated women. So if we consider university students, like for example, LUM students, so what can universities do to better equip female students with the skills needed to thrive in this tech-driven labor market?
So the university case is really interesting, and the LUMS case I think is super interesting because, again, unfortunately, I don't have the kind of data that I should have on my own student body. Anecdotally, we know that the LUM student population, the women in the LUM student population still face a lot of pressure when it comes to marriage. They face the same kind of pressures when it comes to having children. They are also exiting and entering the labor market more frequently than we would hope, given that these are highly educated women. And I think that is reflected to some extent in the overall numbers for tertiary educated women and the labor force participation rates, which is only at 32%. In our context, that's fairly low when you consider that these are college graduates, intermediate graduates, masters holders who are so many of them. I mean, 2 in 3 are opting out of the labor market. So this goes back to what I said earlier कि अगर आपके पास वो स्पेस है कि आप फाइनेंशियल नीड नहीं है, उसकी वजह से आप लेबर मार्केट का हिस्सा नहीं बन रही हैं, तो अगर आपको एक हॉस्टाइल लेबर मार्केट फेस करना पड़ रहा है और आपका इतना हाई रिप्रोडक्टिव बर्डन भी है, तो यू जस्ट स्टेप आउट ऑफ द लेबर मार्केट. अब हाउ कैन वी हेल्प आवर students more? One, create networks for them. Connect them with each other, connect them with the alumni, make sure that they have those networks of access in place कि चाहे वो immediately enter करना चाह रही है लेबर मार्केट को या फिर वो थोड़े अरसे बाद जो है वो लेबर मार्केट से एग्जिट करके फिर एंटर करना चाह रही हैं, they're able to do that. So I think we do a fairly good job in equipping students across all universities कि immediately after the labor market, immediately after the university, they're able to enter the labor market. But what about the women who 5 years down the line have exited labor market and then want to re-enter? So, unko hum kya support provide kar rahe hain? I think universities in Pakistan in particular need to think about that. And then the networking that women are doing, uspe what is the role of technology? I don't think we're leveraging technology well enough for that. There is a lot more that we can do in connecting women to each other and women to employers. I think one of the major issues that women overall face is that their social networks are not diverse enough and their mentoring networks aren't diverse enough. Now, mentors are not necessarily folks who are older than you, folks who are more experienced than you. Mentors can also be peers. Mentors can also be those who are near to you in age. I think as universities tend to do better at allowing for those connections at for those immediate mentors, but not necessarily for those mentors who are much older than you. एंड उसमें भी वो डाइवर्सिटी क्रिएट नहीं कर पाते हैं हम ख़वातीन के लिए स्पेशली. तो वी नीड टू बी मोर माइंडफुल ऑफ द कंस्ट्रेंट्स दैट women face relative to men. वो उस तरह के नेटवर्किंग इवेंट्स पे नहीं जा सकती हैं, वो घर से इतनी देर तक बाहर नहीं रह सकती हैं. सो आर वी यूजिंग द ऑनलाइन स्पेस, आर वी थिंकिंग अबाउट कि उनका टाइम बर्डन बहुत डिफरेंट है, उनकी नीड टू टेक ब्रेक्स इन देयर करियर डिफरेंट है, उनकी ट्रेनिंग जो होगी वो आपको उसी तरह से सोचनी पड़ेगी कि training doesn't get outdated. So उनको maybe we shouldn't be providing them with specialized opportunities for specialized training. It should be opportunities for more generalized training जो कि can equip you to enter any sort of market, and then even if you exit it, आपकी वो जो training आपको मिली है वो outdate ना हुई हो. So I think we need to be a little bit more creative when it comes to our women students.
So speaking of those women who re-enter the market after a certain period of time, so how can we make sure that they can adjust to the rapidly changing labor market?
I think some skills are never outdated, right? आपकी communication skills, आपकी writing skills, आपकी ability to present, आपकी ability to critically analyze, ये कभी भी outdate नहीं होंगी. There will be some very specific types of skills कि अच्छा कोई नया program आ गया है, कोई नई किस्म से आप किसी तरह से आपने coding करनी है, उसको ठीक है आपको अपडेट करना होगा. सो इफ़ वी आर डूइंग राइट बाय आवर स्टूडेंट्स, विच आई होप वी डू एट लम्स, कि हम उनको क्रिटिकल स्किल्स दे रहे हैं, उनको रीडिंग passages well and thinking through them and then being able to communicate them and then present them, अगर वो सारी skills हम उनमें imbue कर रहे हैं, तो चाहे मर्द हो या औरत हो, I hope we're preparing them well for the labor market.
I hope so too. So, reflecting on everything that we've discussed so far, what are the critical steps policymakers and society need to take to bridge the gap between the current limitations and future possibilities for women in the labor market?
So, I want to go back to the conversation that we were having a little bit earlier about digital platforms. I think so much of our training, आप चाहे वो गवर्नमेंट ट्रेनिंग देख लें, देयर सो मेनी नाउ स्मॉल सेटअप्स जो कि औरतों को डिजिटल ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड कर रही है. उसमें अभी तक उन्होंने ये नहीं सोचा है कि औरतों की जो टाइम बर्डन्स हैं वो बहुत डिफरेंट हैं. तो आप उनको 4 घंटे के लिए या 5 घंटे के लिए किसी ट्रेनिंग सेंटर पे नहीं बुला सकते. इवन इफ़ यू मेक श्योर दैट द ट्रेनिंग सेंटर इज़ क्लोज बाय, उनकी कम्यूटिंग के बारे में भी आप सोच रहे हैं, लेकिन वो उस तरह से 5 अनइंटरप्टेड आवर्स निकाल ही नहीं सकती हैं क्योंकि उनके इतने सारे अदर बर्डन्स हैं. तो how about recording sessions? How about making WhatsApp groups? How about just giving them access to that content that they can then watch and rewatch whenever they want? So think about profitability in a different way and think about how we can keeping women's constraints in mind, चाहे वो mobility constraints हो कि वो घर से निकल ही नहीं सकती है, या time constraints हो कि वो उस तरह से stretch पे नहीं निकल सकती है. So how about designing training programs around that? And then I think we have to go back to your conventional constraints, which are एक तो transport नहीं है. I know we've had interventions around pink buses, लेकिन it's not enough to have a bus with a woman driver and a woman conductor. बस तक पहुंच कैसे रही है औरत? आपका जो स्ट्रीट पाथ है जिस पे वो चल के बस के पास पहुंच रही है वो वेल लिट है कि नहीं है, वहाँ उसमें साइड वॉक है कि नहीं है, जब वो बस स्टॉप पे खड़ी हुई है वो वेल लिट है कि नहीं है, शी फीलिंग सेफ एट द बस स्टॉप, बाथरूम्स है कि नहीं है, वर्क स्पेस पे पब्लिक में हाउ सेफ इज शी फीलिंग इन द सेंस दैट things are well let for her, she can go in and use the washroom, etc. So I think you have to think about the entire journey that the woman takes from her house, what is happening inside her house, what is happening at the bus stop, when she gets onto the bus, and then when she gets dropped off. घर से जब वो ऑफिस से जब वो निकल रही है घर वापस आने के लिए, what time is it? Is it night or is it not? And how is that going to affect her transportation experience? So I think some strides have been made. There's the Safe City project. I think these are all, जो मैंने अभी आपको पूरा बताया है about her route, these are things that the Punjab Commission on the Status of Women has talked about in a lot of detail. इसमें बहुत काम हुआ है. I think what is really needed is for all of this work to be brought together. The pieces all exist. We need to connect them. and then think about interventions in a more holistic fashion.
Of course. And what would you say are specific key indicators of progress that we can keep an eye on that suggest that, okay, there has been a change in the labor market and women are thriving in the labor market?
So, I mean, I would want to say your female labor force participation rate, right? Ab usme we've made progress in documenting your informal labor market. I don't think we made enough progress, but even just that key indicator, अगर उसमें आपको नजर आ रहा है that over time it's an upward trend, and that trend doesn't respond so drastically to changes in the economic landscape from the macroeconomy. So मेरा जो अपना काम है उससे मुझे नजर आ रहा है कि women's labor supply is really responsive to GDP shocks. कि बूम आया तो औरतें एंटर कर गई, बस्ट हुआ, सॉरी जब बूम आया तो औरतें एग्जिट कर गई, और जब बस्ट आया तो औरतें जो है वो एंटर कर रही हैं क्योंकि आपने हाउस होल्ड इनकम को सप्लीमेंट करना है. इसका मतलब ये है कि औरतें आर थिंकिंग अबाउट देयर करियर्स in and of themselves. It's a job that you take in response to what's happening in the economy, in response to what's happening to the household. So these are two things that I would keep an eye on. आपकी लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन कैसी है, विद द कैवियट दैट मैं इनफॉर्मल एंड एट होम वर्क को उतनी अच्छी तरह से कैप्चर नहीं कर रही हूँ, लेकिन आई थिंक देयर इज नाउ इनफ सर्विस टेकिंग प्लेस इन पाकिस्तान कि वो थोड़ा बहुत कैप्चर हो रहा है, काफ़ी अच्छी हो रहा है, तो आई एम हैप्पी अबाउट दैट. And दूसरा, I would keep an eye out on the responsiveness of women's employment to GDP changes. And इसमें particularly I'd like to see sectorally women किस तरह से respond कर रही हैं. ठीक है, आपको services sector में वो growth नज़र आ रही है, लेकिन manufacturing में आ रही है कि नहीं आ रही है? I mean, are women exiting their home to go to the factory, which is a male-dominated space? Do they feel safe enough en route to the factory and at the factory floor कि they and their families are opting for that factory job? There's a real stigma attached to the factory job in a lot of spaces. So अगर उसमें आपको उसको some की improvement नज़र आएगी, the factory job is supposed to be a male job, it's not supposed to be a woman's job. So उसमें जब आपको वो shift नज़र आना शुरू होगी, that would also, I think, really signal a cultural shift in terms of roles of men and women.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Hadia. It has been a wonderful discussion.
Thank you. And I really enjoyed it. And it really allowed me to talk about my work and connect it to LUMS, which I always enjoy doing, and the LUMS student body. So that was really great. Thank you, Zoha. I appreciated you calling me here.